Greetings in the name of Yahusha Mashiach, Melech of Yasharal, Kohen forever according to the order of Melchizedek. All esteem, honor, and glory unto our Alua, Yahuwah. My name is Melek Mikael Shelomoh. It's MELEK SHELOMOH Trading, and today is the ETH Open on the 31st of March 2025. We're going to go into a new month next tomorrow in the next session. So there's some levels I'm going to be missing for like my pivot levels and stuff, but I wanted to do a little technical analysis for the week. So I may come back to do another kind of technical analysis for the week after tomorrow when the monthly pivots come out, right? So let's jump into this here. So we're going to start off with this channel chart right here, right? So we started to break down here from the 21st of February. So this channel, this down channel is intact. We tried to tap to break out of it here, but came back down to the middle of the channel. So from this perspective, very simply, this is still intact downtrend, right? So let's jump across to the Wycoff theory chart. Right, so we had this upthrust here, and then we have this spring coming down here, right? So after this takes place, we're supposed to start moving up and pushing up out of this range here, right? So let me just give you a little diagram of the Wycoff theory and what it looks like. Hold on. All right, so this is like a diagram off of the internet. I guess this is City Traders Imperium. So the preliminary supply, we have the selling climax. The preliminary stop, selling climax, automatic rally, secondary stop. This is supposed to be labeled upthrust. These are other secondary stops, little tests. This is supposed to be upthrust after accumulation or like a test. I think it's the break of the ice or something like that. But this is what we're really looking for, the spring, and start to push up to lower points of support. And we get the sign of SOS. What is SOS again? I don't really label this as SOS, right? But it's a sign of strength, I guess, right? So basically, that's how the structure, the accumulation structure develops. And then you get a breakout above this range. So the automatic rally and these upthrusts are like your resistance levels. The secondary, the selling climax and the spring are kind of like the support areas, right? So that's just like a rough look, a rough draft of the accumulation structure. So looking at this structure here, you can see I labeled this. Let me just move this around. So this is the preliminary stop right here. Let me just use the arrows again. So preliminary stop, we have the selling climax, pushed up automatic rally, secondary stop. We have a secondary stop sign of weakness right here where we pushed below this selling climax. We got this upthrust here above out of the automatic rally, came back in, and we really created the upthrust action right here, right? So after that, we came down today and we created this shake spring low, right? So from this point, we're supposed to start creating lower points of support and start breaking out of these levels for the uptrend, right? So we accumulated, we should start pushing higher, right? So let's see here. That's the basic theory, right? So let's see, we're gonna go over to, so I have a VWAP chart here. This is the 1 hour chart, and we're gonna look at some anchored VWAPs. So I have one anchored here from this breakdown on the 26th of March. Let's see, yeah, so anchored at the 26th of March. We're looking at, let's see, we have a test here. We didn't really get up to Vwap. We kind of pushed above this lower deviation, which is this one right here. We pushed above this lower deviation, looking bullish. Buyers probably stepped in around this level. Volume came in for the reversal. We ran into this longer term lower deviation, got rejection, and we pulled back, right? So basically this VWAP right here anchored from this level. We could get a test of this VWAP. We're already above this this weekly session VWAP, right? That's just 1 day basically. So we have this lower deviation anchored from here, coinciding with this VWAP. So we could get a retest here looking for buyers. If it comes down to here, we could get buyers to push back up to test this VWAP anchored from this level here, right? If we get strong buying, we could push through this VWAP right here. But I think that's kind of unlikely. So let's see. Go into this volume chart, volume profile chart, right? So this is a 2-week volume profile. The Vpoc is at 57.11. You can see the profile shape is basically like a elongated shape, kind of signifying this downtrend right here. So we had some high volume nodes at 56, 65, 50, 57, 61, 50. So basically we got a rejection here at this high volume node, right? And price has to come and try and push through this level again. So we have sellers here, right? Sellers to control here, push down. High volume node, meeting sellers, and got the rejection there again, right? So we haven't even come back to test this volume point of control. So we could start building out here or coming back to test this high volume node right here, right? Looking for more buyers, because I guess the buyers came in at this high volume node right here, right? So we have a low volume area. You see we have a flush here. We have a push through here. So maybe we could retest that for some buyers as well. Right, let me just hold on. Right, so on a daily chart, this VWAP is, this Vpoc is anchored from the beginning of the year. You can see the Vpoc is all the way up here at 6,035.25. We're getting rejection at this, so we're actually creating like a, hold on, creating like a little D profile right here, right? So we're accumulating low volume, getting the rejection right there. We have the high volume here at exactly at where price is kind of like, let's see here, let's see, where is it? Exactly at around 56.48.50. So let's say 56.50, right? So we have a heavy volume node right there, high volume node, and it's looking like we might be getting some rejection there in the ETH. Let me just open that up a little bit. Right, so high volume node 56.50. Looking like we're getting some selling there. They're trying to push above this level. The next level we'll be trying to get to would be this next high volume node here at 57.15, right? So let's see if they want to try and get that tomorrow. Let's see what else we got. And just from yesterday's session, we have basically like a, I would say it's like a B profile. The majority of the volume is around this area. We have a heavy cluster above here, but it's basically a B profile, right? Now it's in a downtrend, right? But we got this close to the top area of the profile, right? So this may be signaling like the end of the downtrend, basically, you know. So if this was supposed to hold as a B profile, a selling profile, we were supposed to probably close lower, I guess below this 50% range, right? So on this other volume profile I here, this is from Anna Cooling from Quantum Trading. If you want to check this out, check it out at quantumtrading.com, I believe. So this volume profile, the Vpoc is up at this level. The volume profile is a little more elongated. We have the same high volume areas as this one, but this one is signaling more of the trend, I guess, for today, right? So with this push up right here, it became elongated. We don't really have a shape. Basically, it's just like an elongated profile. If I had to really stretch, I would say it's like a P profile because the volume point of control is at the top, right? And we closed at the top. So this again is signaling basically the end of a downtrend. We have a downtrend with a P profile at the end, right? So that's kind of signaling the end of the downtrend, right? So let's see. All right, so now to my messy chart. This is my pivots chart. We're gonna go to the weekly. And let's see here. From the weekly, we have the floor pivot S3 at 56.61.25. So on a monthly level, these are monthly levels, monthly pivots. We're extremely bearish. We already got down to floor pivot S4 at 55.81.50. The low is 55.33.75. And you can see here, I kind of went across, and let me just take these off for a second. So I pulled across these support areas here where we could revisit for some buyers. So we already got some buyers right here. So some buyers from this level is trying to defend price. Now we could actually come back down to this level here where we had strong buying. We had strong buying again. So I'm thinking basically we might retest these 5200 levels, right? 5300 into the 5200 levels. Because I really don't think it's gonna hold and push up from here, but we'll see. You know, I mean, I'm kind of bearish biased, so let's see. Throw these back on. Right, so we below Camaria are S6 on the monthly, so bulls have a lot of work to do. Right, we already ended, and this month is already done, so we're gonna get some new levels here. So we're gonna see where we're gonna start probably tomorrow, right? So that's why I'm saying I have to probably do another one of these, but I just want to get like a general sense of what's to come for the week, right? So this was the central pivot here. We got to the lowest point, floor pivot S4 on the monthly, right? So I'm gonna have to revisit those levels when the new levels come out. So this right here is my weekly levels. So this is the most important part of this pivot levels on the weekly levels setup, right? So this is Camaria R3 and the central pivot, which is at 56.87.50. So let me open that up a little bit. Right, so this level here is two very important pivot levels, and right now they're in the Camaria R3 is always resistance, and the central pivot is either resistance or support, right? So in this structure here, it's acting as resistance. Now let me just do this. Right, so we open the week here below this top central pivot. It's at 56.55.25, and we basically like to retest these central pivot ranges, right? So basically we came down to Camaria S3, floor pivot S1, had the spring right there, found buyers, and they came back up to test this central pivot range. Now, are they going to push back up to get to this resistance level? This is going to be strong, or should be strong resistance, because it's a golden pivot zone, two really strong pivot levels. We already seen signs of weakness here on these wicks, right? So if they have strength to push through, we'll have to see, right? I really think it's probably going to be a short setup from around this area. We have a single print above here that from a TPO perspective, market profile, we have a single print at this level here just above, so we could get like a shakeout, tag the single print, and start pushing back down, right? So that's one of the setups I'll be looking for when we start coming up to these levels. If I start seeing weakness around, what is it again, 56.8750. Right, 56.8750. When I start coming around, when price action comes around this area, I'll be starting to look for like my Black Sun strategy and 360 fire strategy, right? Now, if we start failing, we're basically going to come back down to get support at Camarilla S3 and floor pivot S1, right? So if we start failing, looking for 360 fire strategies to jump in the downtrend as it's pulling back or creating lower points of supply. So let's go to the 5-minute chart now. This is where I'm really gonna fine tune where I'm gonna exit. Enter the trades. So this is the golden pivot zone I was talking about. Now it's lining up with Camarilla R3 on the daily as well, right? So this is going to be a heavy resistance area because we have daily Camarilla R3. And let me just go back to show you. And we have 56.87, the weekly central pivot, and the weekly Camarilla R3, right? So that's lining up with this right here. All right, so let's open this 5-minute chart again. We have yesterday's high. If we push up, probably want to tag that and maybe get an uptrust to this level here and probably look for a Black Sun strategy. Hold on one second. Right, so around this area here is basically where I'll be looking for like these distribution structures, right? Stuff like this. Maybe target, lower point of supply, lower point of supply, and then break back down, right? So that's basically my Black Sun strategy trade setup. That's what I'll be looking for around this area here. Now, if we do, let's see, let's take this off. If we fail in the ETH and we open below this level here, below Camarilla S3 and central pivot, you can see that's another golden pivot zone. We're already getting buyers at this level. So with the central pivot lining up with Camarilla S3, it creates that golden pivot zone where it's heavy support, right? So we're already getting buyers there. If they fail around these levels or they fail to break above these levels here, right? Like here, yesterday's close, and we open tomorrow below this level. Let's say we get heavy selling and we open below this level. I'm looking for a retest of this level and look for a 360 fire strategy breaking down like this, right? So I'll be trying to enter around these areas on the pullbacks, right? So that's basically the 360 fire strategy, looking for the lowest points of supply when it pulls back to get the entry, right? So that's basically my setup. So what I'm looking out for the week ahead. Let's see, for a long entry, I don't know. A long entry is probably a pullback opening around the ETH. The RTH open is around this level, or we open somewhere around here. We come back down, we find buyers, right? I'm basically trying to catch the accumulation and catch like one of these here and enter for a long trade, right? So when it pushes up, maybe it tags Vwap, pulls back to one of these lower deviations, Vwap deviations, I could enter the trade. Or if I catch the accumulation, let me see. If I catch the accumulation structure happening around this level here, right? I could try and catch like a first lower deviation entry in the bowling green strategy and try and push up to this level here where we could get resistance, right? So that's basically the setups right there. I know sometimes my charts is kind of messy and stuff, but it's basically simple levels that I'm looking for certain kind of price action to execute trades, right? So with that being said, I use Bookmap for the execution, and I have to fix my levels. Let's see. Camarilla S3 is going to be somewhere different from where it is now, probably a little higher. So yeah, because this is what we're seeing here at Camarilla S3. So Camarilla S3 is probably somewhere around, let's see. I'm just guesstimating here, right? From what I saw on TradingView. So let's go back here real quick. Let me get an exact number. 56.15. Right, so let me just show you what a bowling green strategy for me looks like, right? So basically this is first lower deviation, that's second lower deviation. This is 2.5 deviation, right? So what I'm looking for is price coming down, right? You see we get that little shakeout, we push back up, we get a second test. This for me here is like a long, or maybe around this area. As we push back up, we get buyers, take the long, stop is below here, right? And we try to get to somewhere around Vwap or even get to the first upper deviation, right? So if I got this trade here, if I enter this trade at this level here, the break above the second lower deviation, right? It would push up, almost get to Vwap. I'd probably stop out somewhere here. Could probably retry if we get buyers again. Take an entry somewhere around here or here and try and get to Vwap and first upper deviation. So that's a basic kind of breakdown of my bowling green strategy, right? So that strategy just happened right here, right? So that's basically what it is. Camarilla S3 is the pivot level. We don't come down to that. We get support way above it, probably at the central pivot. Let me see, go back to here. Yeah, we did tag, so 56.20. All right, let me find the central pivot. Where is it? Right, so you can see the golden pivot zone. We target, we get support, we get heavy volume. We just push this up a little bit. You see we get heavy volume supporting price, and then we get the buying, right? More volume. So this is a good entry right here, right? We break above that second lower deviation, we push up. If I don't exit at this level and the pullback can hold until we get to first upper deviation. And let's see if we did target. Right, so basically could start exiting the trade around this level here. We're getting the pullback. We already got very close to it. We didn't touch it exactly, but you could put your take profit just below it, right? So that will be a nice execution of the bowling green strategy right there. All right, y'all. So that's my outlook. Let me just give you a look at TraderMap Pro. And this is why I'm kind of bearish as well, because there's a lot of liquidity to the downside around the 5,200 levels. So price could easily start breaking down. We don't have any targets from a liquidity perspective to the upside. First liquidity is around 5706, which isn't really that far. So supporting liquidity is around, let's say, 5580, right? So if we do break down from there, this is wide open, right? So the big players are anticipating buys at 52.39.50 and 51.88, right? All right, y'all. So that's my little weekly breakdown right there. Technical analysis using Wycoff theory, the VWAPs, the Vpoc, and my pivot levels, and showing you the trade map liquidity, right, from Bookmap, Trade Map Pro. All right, y'all. It's Mikael Shalomo. Y'all trade safe and shalom.